vessel is inspected and certified annually by the U.S. Coast Guard and is fitted with all required safety equipment. Life rings are located on either side of the pilot house on the upper deck and forward and aft on the main deck. Life preservers are
stored. Right, our second tallest building, Trump International Hotel and Tower. Now you can notice it's got 3 terraces going up the side. These match the height of surrounding buildings. The first one matches the Wrigley building we just left. The third one matches the apartment building between those two. And the second terrace matches the Mather Tower, which is the white telescope building across the river. So its 3 terraces are matching 3 neighbors. On top of that, it's sandwiched between an all-white building and an all-black building. So this bluish-grayish glass and steel creates a transitional element between those 2 harsh tones. Once again, blending its context into a single design. That's why it doesn't work the same if you put it anyplace else. Its neighbors are different. Of a place, for a place, by a place. That's the contextualism motto. Speaking of this place, if you are like me, and after the tour, you do want to move to Chicago, I have a recommendation where you might want to sign a lease. Coming up in just a moment, we got the most affordable spot I can find downtown. For a studio apartment, the listings inside go for $1,900 a month. Now that might not sound cheap depending on where you're from, but for downtown Chicago, it's the best deal you'll find, I guarantee it. It's these 2 corn cobs on the right, Marina City Towers, iconic and cheap apartments from the 60s. But back when they were built in the 60s, not many other apartments downtown, so these are also self-sustainable down here. Cars will only come out the backside twice. Don't worry, both intentional. One was a Steve McQueen movie called The Hunter. Another was an Allstate commercial. That same stunt a few years ago. But it is somebody's job to valet park those. But you should remember, if your job ever feels stressful, could be worse. Left-hand side, we got a small concrete building with 5'5" at the top. 5'5". We're trying to treat it a lot better than that currently. And that's ironic because most of our success is owed to the river and the lake. We've got 20% of the world's liquid freshwater in the Great Lakes system behind us. Very convenient connection to the Midwest, East Coast, even Canada. And to the south, the river eventually connects down to the Mississippi and Gulf of Mexico. So this was a very convenient spot to be up in trade. That's how we got our start, fur trading. In fact, even the name Chicago comes from this river. Chicago comes from an Algonquin word, Chicagua. That means stinkweed. It's a type of onion which grew along our river. What draws your attention in isn't just size, but also ornamentation. If you look above the windows, you can see gold diamonds up there, decorating the facade. That's the glitz and glam of the Roaring 20s, coming out in building form. Think Great Gatsby. That's what Art Deco buildings tend to embody. They're all about the opulence of the 20s. They're all showboating a little bit. We'll talk more about the history behind Art Deco and several other styles a little bit later. But first, get those cameras up. On the opposite side of Franklin Street Bridge, we get a beautiful trophy case of architecture at Wolf Point, where the 3 branches of the river meet. It's a beautiful view. Take a moment, take it in. First building I want to point out is on the left. We got a curved glass building, the New Beam building. This was Ferris Bueller's dad's office from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But the curve of that building matches the curve of the river, and so does its greenish-bluish tint. Again, contextualism. It's another contextualist building in front of us. A giant stick of deodorant, a McDonald's apple pie, hot pocket, take a pick at River Falls. Its curved entrance and top, it's reflecting the curve of the river we're making on the right. Our last contextualist building is this Y-shaped one on the left. Ooh, first, great photo coming up. L Train 150 North Riverside pays tribute to where we are because Wolf Point, where the 3 branches of the river meet, literally makes a Y if you look at a map of Chicago. So, the Y pays tribute to the Y at the Y. That's why. The raindrop. So, in that case, you guys should know, climate control downstairs in case it does start to rain. You'll be safe from the elements down there, and you can hear me just fine. Now, the Carroll Ave Railway Bridge here.
I guess we're turning now. It's alright.
All of this, as early as this year, will become a Bally's Hotel and Casino. Downtown Chicago of that building. It's a greener option. Now, a lot of these printing manufacturing plants ended up becoming soft lofts. It's kind of like the New Girl apartment. They got exposed brick, exposed ventilation, high ceilings. Younger generation loves them. Now, West Loop to the right was big in industry back in the day. The following year, when those heroes at the East Bank Club gym released security camera footage proving once and for all it was the Dave Matthews Band. They are then forced to pay $300,000 in assorted fines to the victims and friends of the river. Now, you may be asking yourself, why did our tour guide just tell us the most disgusting story I've ever heard? There better be a good reason. Shortly following that comes World War II. So there's a big break-in building from the 1930s to the 50s. There's more important stuff happening than architecture. But when we come back to building after the war, buildings look tall buildings everywhere. The Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the world's current tallest, does the same thing. But the Sears here was the very first to do it. It is called a bundled tube design. The Mart, this is wholesale goods. It's where other stores restock their inventories. That means the only thing you can get in there is lost. I don't recommend it. But if you do come back a little bit later, I think it's about 2 weeks' time now, you can catch the world's largest permanent digital art projection for free. Following the bridge on the right, there's a gray box, jam-packed filled with 34 4K projectors, an $8 million projection system that uses 2.5 supply. In the late 1800s, 1 in 10 people are dying of our water. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, all the Oregon Trail diseases. In fact, I just learned this last year, still blows my mind, and cultivate that space. Again, it's the main thing built into the Burnham Plan we mentioned. Now, if you remember the psychological effect of space, there's no agenda behind it. It allows room for you to exist at your own speed. So if Chicago feels more laid back than other cities you've been to, that's the end result of the 600 public parks. While you're here, I suggest you take advantage. Walk along the Riverwalk or Lakefront Trail, explore our parks or beaches. If you notice our spaces, you also may notice how they make you feel. A lot more open, free, clear, less claustrophobic. Other major cities I'm sure you've been to. New York. Sorry, it's on my throat. Wrigley Building in front of us, once again, where we started, named after William Wrigley Jr., same benefactor of Wrigley Field, Wrigleyville up north where the Cubs play. But Wrigley started his business here as a cleaning supply company. Now, when he sent out cleaning supplies, he'd send complimentary pieces of gum with them. I thank you for choosing us. To the sky deck. Now, it's just a quick window, and it's not a great one. It's all the way to the north. You don't get a good view of it on the river, but your best view is right there. Black building, white antenna on top, white ring lights around the top. Our 5th tallest building in the city, the Hancock Building. And if you walk 2 blocks north of that, you're standing on Oak Street Beach, one of our best public beaches, in case the weather really turns around. You're missing out on tens of millions. But once again, necessary if you want more than half the population to be able to go inside your building without throwing up. So, gives you an idea of how much lake effect we're dealing with. It's kind of like earthquake-proofing your buildings in California. Is there any questions you got? Come and find me at the front. We'll snag some photos, answer some questions, use the last of our amenities. In just a moment, we'll finish out the tail end of our tour. Noticeable difference. The world's tallest is twice this high. Imagine 2 Trump towers stacked on top of one another. That's how tall the world's tallest building is. And even at half the height, it's still Chicago's 2nd tallest. Gives you an idea how impossibly tall that stair has been set in Dubai.
This is Chicago at nighttime. So many good buildings, such architecture. Chick-fil-A.